Lending.com, whether you want to buy, refi, home equity line of credit, Dave Galloway and the team will take care of you as they take care of us and help support the victory. All right, let's get into it. The stories that matter most. You know, it's interesting to watch it all go down. You know, the ball is in Zelensky's court now. That's after the Friday Alaska summit there with Trump talking with Putin. They say things went very well. Now, that's depending upon who you ask. In fact, I'm going to dig into some of this here in just a moment. Media completely exposed. A meltdown of epic proportions. And yeah, I mean, even some folks on the right, but the left has done this too. And Democrats watching. Couldn't be more further disconnected from reality and the truth of what happened. In fact, Putin admitted it himself. He said that war never would have happened. They never would have invaded. Just like Trump says, had Trump been in office. And the left just absolutely couldn't bear to hear that one. No ceasefire struck, but a blueprint for the peace deal in works. And Trump to meet with folks from the European Union today and Zelensky himself at the White House. There are two things Trump said Zelensky can do right now to end the war. We're going to get into that coming up in just moments. It's caught on camera in Hamtramck, city here in Michigan, large Muslim population. There used to be Polish. It was a big Polish village there in the suburbs of Detroit. Now big Muslim population, as we've seen authorities investigating potential fraud in the 2025 primary election. That's right, caught on camera in Hamtramck. City surveillance video showing drivers stuffing a ballot box outside City Hall in the days just before the primary, well, just days ago. CBS Detroit obtaining the footage via FOIA and Michigan State Police request confirming they're investigating. Separately, two Hamtramck council members charged and arraigned last week in a 2023 election fraud case. No arrests have been announced. But by the way, you and I have been told that that doesn't happen. That's just not a thing. Remember? I'm old enough to remember when you get banned and censored for talking about that. D.C. is suing Trump. Well, this goes further along and in line with what I said about the Democrats and the left exposing themselves. It's not just with the issue that we're watching play out in the piece, Russia and Ukraine. It's also crime in D.C. They just can't handle it. Why? If Trump cleans up D.C., if he gets peace in Russia, and all bets are off. More on that coming up, and I only get into a full breakdown of why I think some of the things that are playing out right now have just been absolutely epic. And what you can expect to happen next. We'll get into that and more this morning. But first, you can join the program at any time. Jump on the phone. We want to hear from you on the iHeartRadio app. Use that talkback feature and let it rip for the folks at MKD Funeral Homes.
Call Justin now at 616-774-2424. That's 616-774-2424. West Michigan Live with Justin Barkley on News Radio 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Yeah, we're back at it. Never a dull moment. It's never enough time to get to it all. But we're doing our best, folks. And that's why we're glad you're here with us today. All right. You know, okay, there's a couple of things Trump says Putin can do, and I want to get into the specifics on that, some foreign policy involved in that conversation. But also, I think it's important to hit this piece, and you correct me if you think I'm wrong here. But I'm just scratching I just can't imagine. I'm watching, in fact, I did a couple videos this week, and one went super viral again, and over on the TikTok. I don't know if you're on TikTok or not, because, you know, it is a Chinese app.
China.
I don't know if you're on the TikTok. But if you're on the TikTok, I'm Mr. Justin Barkley there and like everywhere else online. Instagram, Facebook went nuts so too. But the statement that Putin said, "Oh yeah, look, if Trump were president, this never would have happened." That that whole statement, they just couldn't believe, and of course, that drove them nutty. And I realized something. Of course, I've always known this, but I really it became more clear to me than really ever before. See, I thought about that. All the needless death, the senseless murder, and all the things that are happening in Ukraine and Russia, particularly with this war, and how sad it is, the whole thing. And you remember all the flags that were flown, the Ukraine flags, and people put them in their bios or in their profile pictures. And there's even a couple of houses around town I've seen here, they're still flying Ukraine flags, which is kind of strange, right? But it turns out these people who were protesting, the people who were flying the flags, the people who were showing solidarity for Ukraine, they don't really want peace. In fact, I'll tell you why. Well, there's a couple reasons. You want the simplest? Well, it's because they don't have to really be exposed to any actual war, do they? They're not suffering the consequences Ukrainians are right now, and Russians. They're not in that area. They're here in their comfy, cushy homes in the United States, far, far away from all of that. They are online, hiding behind screens and keyboards, typing away, keyboard warriors. They don't really care because there's no real consequences for them. So, they don't really want peace. Here's another reason, and this is probably the biggest. Peace exposes them. What do I mean by that? You see, it's really, if you think about it, really as plain as day. Peace exposes them. It makes it really, really, really tough. In other words, really tough. Because they can't hide anymore. They cannot hide the fact that what they're really after is getting Trump. Now, what do I mean by that? Okay, because this is important. Getting Trump comes in a couple of different forms, but in the simplest, what it means is stopping him at all costs. What it means is they hate him so much they'd rather see innocent people die. They'd rather see the entire country of Ukraine have to suffer needlessly, go through it, people in Russia as well. That's essentially what you're watching play out when it comes to the keyboard warriors and everyone else. The left losing their mind over Alaska. Peace would blow up their script. No endless headlines. No cash gusher for the war lobby. No chance to smear Trump as the chaos guy. See, they need the war to keep going. That's why the howling started before the planes even touched down there in Anchorage. And yes, the summit ended without a ceasefire, but they've got a blueprint for the peace deal, and today they're moving that forward at the White House. They put peace on the table. And that alone has the left spinning. Listen to the argument. It's not how do we stop the killing. That's not what they're asking. It's how dare Trump talk to Putin. See, they'd rather see months more of trenches and funerals than let Trump not to win. That's not foreign policy. That's pathological. Experts and talking heads and media outlets all rushing to say, no deal, no progress, Trump was too friendly. Some of them even say Trump got played. These people I couldn't be more delusional. They never ask the obvious. What's the off-ramp that saves lives today? Not 5 years down the road. What can we do now to end this? And then some of them say stupid things like, well, he said he was going to end it in 24 hours after he was elected. And that didn't happen. Come on. You know, like I mentioned, this whole Ukraine thing mirrors exactly what's happening in D.C. Trump makes a move to crack down on crime like we've seen, the nation's capital, and they want to argue about what's dangerous and what isn't, murder rates and what the numbers actually say versus what the people really feel like on the ground in D.C., which is a whole nother situation. And those numbers, they do lie. In fact, they're being manipulated, and we know that. But who would argue against trying to make the nation's capital safer? The National Guard there being called in, a hard pivot toward order, the left melting down again, not a debate on stopping carjackings and shootings. By the way, the police there in D.C., have friends who live there, tell me how they would issue warnings about how to avoid getting carjacked and what to do if you did. How about arresting the thugs that are doing it? Instead, from the left, we get a tantrum about process and overreach. When families there in D.C. just want to walk into the store without getting jumped or drive down the road without getting carjacked. So as you can see, as I mentioned, why they hate with a vigor, with an absolute foaming at the mouth fury more than anything else, these peace talks or anything that Trump tries to do to actually make progress, because it shows you who they really are. Why are the loudest voices against peace also the loudest voices against cleaning up the Capitol? Peace exposes them. Order exposes them. Results expose them. These are people that have made decades, a lifetime worth of living there in D.C. in the swamp, telling you that they're going to figure out what the problems are, how to really solve them. Oh, and by the way, lots of them wagging their fingers at you, telling you're responsible. You know, racism and white privilege and such, all of that nonsense. This piece, the order, it exposes them all. Strips away the talking points. The third, fourth, fifth, and even sixth. Every time he does something, every time he notches another win, boy, they just can't stand it. Think tank word salads shows people something simple is happening. It's leadership. It's Trump actually doing what he said he would do. Well, the left can keep screaming. The consultants, the media talking heads, they can keep cashing checks. The press can keep scolding. But meanwhile, real adults who are watching, don't get it twisted. We all see what's happening here. We'll all keep doing the hard, simple things. And Trump, right at the top, sitting across the table to stop a war that never should have happened. Putting cops on corners to stop a mugging and protect families in D.C. and places of the like. That's right, folks. Peace exposes him. And that's why they are unhinged. Got a quick pause for the action. I'm going to dig into the policy. What needs to happen in order to end this? It could happen today, folks. We could get a tentative agreement today. We'll talk about what that is coming up in moments. Right.
West Michigan Live with Justin Barkley on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Here are your headlines from the Midwesterner this Monday, August 18th. I'm Robin Kaufman. It's a Midwesterner.news original story caught on camera. In the city of Hamtramck, drivers captured on surveillance video stuffing a ballot box outside City Hall. CBS Detroit reviewing the tape says 2 people under arrest.
Muhtasin Sadman and Mohammed Hassan, 2 city councilmen, were arraigned on election fraud charges. And CBS Detroit has now learned about a brand new investigation into stuffing the ballot boxes right in front of City Hall.
In other news, we are hearing from Ukrainian President Zelensky.
Putin does not want to stop the killing, but he must do it.
President Trump is scheduled to meet with Ukrainian President Zelensky today at the White House in an attempt to resolve Russia's war in Ukraine and come to a deal. For these stories and more, visit The Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
Hi, I'm Mike Lester, host of the Guarding Your Nest Egg radio show, here with Cheryl, my co-host.
Good morning, folks. I hope some folks are having issues with the chat on Facebook, but I got a full chat full of folks, so I'm not sure if it's maybe just here's something you might want to check, okay? Couple things. You may want to shut your app down and then open it again. And then the second thing you might want to do is you may want to turn the phone off and turn it back on. And then the third thing you might want to do is check to see if the app needs to be updated. Some of that stuff can cause problems, but we got a full chat full of folks. But we also have some folks watching on YouTube. Jessica, good to see you. Mary, good to see you too. That could not get into the chat on Facebook for some reason. Over on Facebook. Sue, good to see you. How are you? God bless you. Sherry, good to see you too. Sharon, Bunny, Bruce, Sally, all watching on the book this morning. Going reverse order today on Rumble. Good to see you, Rumblers. Appreciate you taking the time to be here. Mando's in the house. Mama, good to see you. Trish in progress. D1P. And so many others over in the Freedom Fam VIP. Rayanne, Terry, Mendo is in the house. Gritter. And so many others hanging out this morning. Appreciate you taking the time. All right, back at it, folks. Got to get into the bottom of the hour of the news here, and then we're going to I'll break down some more of the beefy stuff you need to know. Stand by. Coming up. Out of news, bottom of the hour here, just moments away. Trump going to meet with the European leadership today. Also going to hear from Zelensky as well. He's in the mix. And the question is, will he screw things up? Coming up, Mike Rogers running for Senate here in Michigan. Going to break down some of the foreign policy that we're seeing play out. There's 2 things Trump says Zelensky needs to do in order to end this thing right now. What are they? We'll break them down coming up back after this on West Michigan Live. All righty then. Yep, Cheryl, we definitely, Facebook does not show how many people. See, I think, Deanne, that's, because Sherry can see it too. I see it on my end. I think it's an app issue. So many different apps, so many different types of phones, brands, models, etc. And sometimes they just don't support like they should or they used to. Or sometimes they've done updates and it's just, it changes things. Terry on the Freedom Fam VIP, by the way. The reason Terry says is, and this is good, no money in peace. That's a good point. There and a lot of that is grift. It goes along with the folks that were trying to run the Ukraine scam. By the way, you know how much money Burisma, those oil folks, were bringing down. You know what I mean? And your boy Hunter Biden was in on that too. Interesting stuff. All right. It's just been a nice house. ICE has arrested 1,600 illegals on Long Island. 50 more were handed over to ICE by the local Nassau police.
Good morning. It is.
Isn't that something? They're being arrested, even in blue states. All right, let's take a look at this.
Hey guys, good morning. So yeah, we went out with the Nassau County Gang Investigation Squad last night. They've made dozens of arrests over the past few nights, including several gang members, even MS-13 who are in the country illegally. Now, last night was a little bit slower, but we did see the arrest of one man who police say is a known gang member. Take a look.
We did a detailed investigation on this vehicle. Inside, we have about 7 grams of cocaine. The driver of the vehicle is a Trinitario gang member. No one identified Trinitario gang member.
But he didn't want to talk to us. Sir, do you deny being a gang member? Nothing? Anything you want to say for yourself? Do you deny the charges against you? What's the cocaine for? For you? For selling?
Those would be the drugs right here. Also contained in the car, we have more packaging. Obviously, these are the empty baggies for the cocaine when they sell it. And these are the drugs that we have here.
Yeah, and they've made dozens of busts over the past few days. And earlier this month, Nassau County Police arrested these 3 illegal migrants accused of being MS-13 gang members. They're charged with a combined 14 counts of attempted murder and 49 counts of assault. ICE lodged immigration detainers against each of them. And Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman said about working with ICE, quote, "These relationships materially helps us incarcerate and deport dangerous criminals that prey on our communities. And as a result, we are the safest county in America." Now, so far, during President Donald Trump's second term, ICE has arrested 1,600 criminal illegal migrants here on Long Island, and about 50 more have been handed over to ICE by Nassau County Police as the cooperation with federal immigration enforcement continues to be strong during the second Trump administration.
That's fantastic. Fantastic. By the way, there's a horrific story out today. And I'm going to have to wait for a minute to get to it, but there's a horrific story. Hang on. Let me test this. Out of Florida. I don't know if you saw it. I got to check the volume here. All right, that sounds good. I don't know. There's something going on with the audio. People were reporting. But it looks like that has been rectified, whatever it was. There is a video out of Florida that shows something horrific. A man who is in the country illegally, who never should have had a CDL, commercial driver's license. We got a couple of drivers hanging out in VIP over on the Freedom Fam on Locals. We'll get your reaction to this here in just a little bit from the pros. This guy tries to do a U-turn across several lanes of traffic, and it's killed a family in a car. It's absolutely horrific. But it goes to show you what is happening in the places like the People's Republic of California. Gruesome Gavin Newsom and his policies in these sanctuary states, they just ask no questions, give these people driver's license, no problem. No questions asked. And it has resulted now in these deaths in Florida. It's horrific. Stand by. Back on the air here in just moments. We've got the latest. Probably, let's see. Yeah. That's right. Probably 2 minutes left. We're back on the air. So stand by. Oh, yeah, I should probably mention it, folks. It's wide open. The brand new store grand reopening happened on Friday. It is here. Brand new tees, hoodies. For the adults, for the kids, for the ladies, we've got them all. From the not far right so far, to the Alligator Alcatraz Gulf of America. The fool around and find out tees are here too. I actually got another couple of ideas for some new ones that are in the pipeline. We'll get to that. Justin hoodies as well. By popular demand, You can wear your Freedom Fam hoodie, too. We've got that. Look, there's a Freedom Fam hoodie just specifically for you folks in the fam. Not just T-shirts and hoodies. We got gear. We got mugs. We've got coffee. We've got Gulf of America gear, too. And the Justin mugs, too. I gotta get one of these, or a couple of these. Maybe give these away. I like these little camping-style mugs. Can't throw that in the microwave, though, because it's got a metal ring on the top of it, but that's cool. Also, zip-up hoodies for folks that are looking for the zips. We've got polos and too. All different colors and sizes, too, for everyone. Available now. JustinBarclay.com/store. Thank you for your support, guys. We don't make a ton of money on this stuff, but I will tell you, every little bit helps us fuel and fund the mission here to keep things back and on track. All right. Stand by. Here we go. Back on the air.
But also for one's family. Not surprisingly, divorce for soldiers is especially difficult, and it raises a number of challenges that are peculiar to military divorce, things such as deployments, relocation, retirement benefits. These issues can be complicated, and the lawyer you choose needs to be equipped to handle them. So if you're a soldier facing such challenges, go to CordellCordell.com.
Hey, it's Glenn Beck, and you're listening to West Michigan Live with our good friend Justin Barclay. The Glenn Beck program coming up at 10 on Wood Radio.
Big day at the White House again today. Trump there meeting the president with leadership from the EU. President Zelensky from Ukraine trying to put an end to this war. And just imagine, be able to see some peace in a situation that never should have happened. Want to talk that foreign policy issue. Peace through strength on top of it all. Running for Senate here in Michigan, Mike Rogers joining us now with the latest. Good morning. Appreciate you being. What a big weekend, and looks like an even bigger day today.
It certainly is, Justin. Thanks for having me on. It's going to be very fascinating to see what comes out of this today. And listen, I think if they all come and show up at the Oval Office and say, gosh, if the United States would just do more, I think it's going to be a non-starter for the president. I hope they come in with a better plan to get this thing solved and get peace to break out between Russia and Ukraine.
The president has said that Zelensky needs to do, he can end the war right now, but he needs to do two things. He says he needs to drop that bid for NATO and accept Russia's 2014 annexation of Crimea. I don't know whether either one of those is going to happen, but what are your thoughts, obviously, on that piece of it, and of course the historic moment from Friday in Alaska?
Yeah, I would say that the NATO piece, I was never for them getting into NATO because they were in a hurry. They, being the NATO countries, were in a hurry to push them into NATO so that they thought they could push Russia out. I just think that might drag in a broader conflict that we just didn't need. And by the way, they've got a lot of governance issues they have got to get right. They have really high levels of corruption. Yeah. They have other issues in the country that they, to me, in my mind, would have to get right before they could even get into NATO. So I don't think you want to make all that exception to put him in, number one. So I think that should be an easy give up for him if he can get some of these, as they're talking, some security kind of guarantees going into that. That would be a good bet. Crimea, my thing with Crimea is, why don't they just say, this is no man's land for 20 years. We'll negotiate over the next 20 years. It's not yours. We still lay claims to it, but you can stay there until we work it out. My argument is Putin's not going to be there forever. That would give Ukraine an opportunity to build their economy, reintegrate into the West, and that would put them in a much better position at some point to negotiate their way back into Crimea.
Two very interesting pieces there, and you made some good points. Mike Rogers with us, running for Senate here in Michigan, former congressman, and extensive experience there on these issues. The corruption piece. in Ukraine is really incredible. And, part of that is, reminds me anyway of former President Hunter Biden's laptop and the Burisma deal, and this guy sitting on a board for this, that, and the other thing. And that really, it's kind of like that sort of thing has just sort of fallen through the cracks, and we've stopped talking about that. But I think that's a large part of why we have had this issue there in Ukraine.
Oh, I agree. And remember, this was heavily dominated by Soviet intelligence services. You couldn't swing a ring of Italian sausages at one point and not hit a Russian intelligence agent floating around Ukraine. And it was bad. A quick story here, if I may. The U.S. was trying to share information early on about what the Ukrainian or the Russians were going to do in Crimea, and the information just kept getting passed right directly back to the Russians. And so they tried to create a special kind of a unit where they could share really sensitive U.S. intelligence with the Ukrainians to do something. And they did, and 6 or 8 months later, that thing got compromised by this. And it's because of, I think, under such a long dominance of that Russian corruption-style governance, it was just hard to shake. And so I know people want to believe something different about the governance of Ukraine. It's got a long ways to go. It can get there, and I believe it, but it's going to take work and effort, and you just don't want to give away a NATO membership, to push back on Putin. I think there's other ways to do it.
Mike Rogers with us right now, running for Senate here in Michigan, former congressman, and of course, there are other things going on, but I tie it in. It's interesting. My whole monologue to open the show here, I talked about why I've seen the left melting down over Trump meeting with Putin in Alaska on Friday. It's the same reason I think they're melting down over Washington, D.C. and the crime crackdown right now. The peace and the order exposes them. The idea that they can't do anything about these things, and of course they're not to blame for any of these issues at all, I think is the biggest deal. I've never seen so many people so upset that we're working towards getting not just peace in Ukraine, but also as the president tries to crack down on crime, and is, with a former law enforcement background, what they've done there and what people we're already hearing from people on the ground there saying is pretty incredible.
I've never really seen anything like this in politics, certainly in my lifetime, where people so hate the president that they would rather him fail than America win. Yeah. And it's the same. It's the same with the. They're all hot and bothered about a red carpet that was rolled out on the ground for the president of Russia to walk. Listen, everybody knows who he is. That was never in doubt. But the president is trying to work a deal to stop 1,000 people dying every single day. And oh, by the way, Europe and everyone else keeps asking us to pay for it. And so his motivation was, well, we could go through the diplomatic manual, which would take 3 to 6 months to set this meeting up, and everything would have to agree on, including the width of the red carpet, or I can get on an airplane and go there and see if I can't work this out.
Yes.
Why the world didn't say, good luck, Mr. President, how do we help you, is beyond me. And same with the criminal enforcement in D.C. I have to tell you a story. I have someone working on a campaign that lived in D.C. for the year 2023. I was doing some work there. This particular person, his roommate was shot and stabbed, and he personally witnessed 2 carjackings within a year. Now, you tell me, I don't know how anyone walks away from that and says, oh, there's no problem here. There's no crime problem here. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's clearly, if that happens, it wasn't like he was in the worst of worst neighborhoods. It's, encroaching in around the Capitol Hill area. And so when the president says, hey, he just needs regular order here. And by the way, my wife had a personal friend who got mugged outside of one of the Senate buildings by knife point. Wow. I mean, you start going through this, and boy, remember the FBI agent that got hijacked right in front of the FBI building downtown? I mean, come on. And so I think people are hyperventilating, but okay, they took 100 really bad criminals off the street. I think it's up to 300 now. Why would we be opposed to that? And let's get it back to order. And rather than saying, how do we work with you to get this done, or could you do this versus this, none of those conversations are happening. It's all, this is the end of the world. The world's coming to an end. You can't do this. Well, I'll tell you, there's a lot of people who feel safer at night, are thinking under their breath anyway in Washington, D.C., this is great.
Mike Rogers with us right now, running for Senate here in Michigan. I know there's a lot more to talk about. We're going to have time to have you back on as things continue to roll out here over the course of the campaign. But I got a question. I thought, we never really do things like this, but somebody in the VIP in the Freedom Fam over on Locals here, Terry asked, I thought it was a good question. Mike, what is your best accomplishment, the accomplishment you're most proud of in your career?
In my career,
and that spans
which career you're talking about.
Spans several.
A lot of people don't realize in the last 10 years I've been in the private sector, and I've got. I think there's a lot of pretty important accomplishments in there. Even in when I was chairman of the Intelligence Committee, I was able to cut 10% out of that budget. Somebody joked with me, "You were the original Doge. They should have called it Roge." Because this was back in right around 2011, and we were in conflict with both Iraq and Afghanistan. Got that thing cleaned up, established some really important policy. Much of it is still very sensitive, but has been used by every president, including Donald Trump, since it was put into place to fight terrorism and other things. All of that, to me, pretty important stuff. And in the last 10 years, helping some cybersecurity companies go from smaller to bigger to try to make sure that we could push back on the onslaught of cyber criminals and nation states trying to get and steal your data. And so, my son went to the Naval Academy. We're pretty proud of that. My daughter didn't want to be outdone. She went to the AmeriCorps. Very proud of that. By the way, the Army. No offense to my daughter, and I was in the Army. The Army was not the best place for her. This was a good decision not to try to go in the Army. And so, I could go through a whole bunch of those things, but I look back on it as a life of service, always committed trying to get the right answer, to do the right thing for Michigan and the country when I was in politics. And in the last 10 years, try to build companies. And I'm one of those very rare people, Justin, that I've punched a time clock, worked on a factory floor. I signed the back of a check and was always grateful to the companies that employed me to do that. And in the last 10 years, had the ability to sign the front of the check a few times. I think that puts me in a very unique position to tackle the real issues of today.
There you have it, Mike Rogers running for Senate here in Michigan. RogersForSenate.com, and we'll have you back on in the future. But thanks for jumping on today with the latest on this. And I know lots of folks are praying for peace, that we'll get a deal done. And boy, I think the world would love to see it, regardless of what the folks on the left have to say about it. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Justin.
You got it. God bless. Back after this. It's a story that is horrific, really. It never should have happened. And it's all because Gavin Newsom has this very relaxed policy of who can have a driver's license out in California, the People's Republic. A man who should have been in the country, wasn't here legally, got a driver's license, not just any license, but a CDL, so he could drive a truck. And people are dead today in Florida because of it. The story you won't want to miss, because you'll want to make sure you let people know the consequences of these unlawful actions. Coming up after this.
Tackling the hot-button issues with style. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barclay on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Here are your headlines from the Midwesterner this Monday, August 18th. I'm Robin Poffman. It's a Midwesterner.news original story. GM will be buying EV batteries from a company linked to the CCP, Chinese Communist Party. General Motors will be purchasing the batteries for its reworked Chevy Bolt, while the company works to develop its own battery plant in Tennessee. Some very shady practices caught on camera outside City Hall in the city of Hamtramck, where drivers captured on surveillance video stuffing a ballot box over and over again prior to the recent election. CBS Detroit filing a Freedom of Information Act request and reviewing the tapes.
And at each trip to the ballot box, handfuls of ballots were stuffed in the box. Also, take a look at the driver of this red-colored Tesla. Also made several stops, each time dropping off multiple ballots at the location in front of City Hall. And the last time, the person inside the vehicle had a bag full of ballots, something the city says is extremely concerning.
In other news, President Trump scheduled to meet with Ukrainian President Zelensky today at the White House in an attempt to come to a deal and end Russia's war in Ukraine. For these stories and more, visit The Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
Have you taken a good look at your roof lately? Moss, mold, dark streaks. Those aren't just cosmetic. They're signs your roof is aging. Now, replacing a roof? That's a massive expense. And let's be real, it's not always necessary. That's where my friends at Roof Max of Ada come in. They offer an all-natural treatment that restores your shingles' flexibility and waterproofing, basically giving extra years to your roof by adding at least 5 years or more to the roof and shingles life. They're local, they're honest, and they're not about gimmicks or high-pressure sales. Just straight-up trustworthy advice about what's best for your home. So before you spend tens of thousands on a full roof replacement, call Roof Max of Ada and schedule your free roof inspection today. Tell them Justin sent you. Visit roofsaversmi.com or call 616-393-7710. That's 616-393-7710.
People can't have access to quality medical.
All right. One of the funniest things I've seen. Well, that's saying something too. From Trump online here. I am totally convinced. By the way, this goes in line with what we've been talking about today. Why the peace and order exposes. I'm totally convinced that if Russia raised their hands and said, we give up, we concede, we surrender, we will give Ukraine and the great United States of America, the most revered, respected, and powerful of all countries ever, Moscow and St. Petersburg, and everything surrounding them for 1,000 miles to the fake news media, and their Democrat partners would say this was a bad and humiliating day for Donald J. Trump, one of the worst days in the history of our country. But that's why they are fake news, he says, and the badly failing radical left Democrats. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I actually think we got to do a T-shirt, something that says "Thank you for your attention to this matter." I'm not quite sure how we pull that off. I'm not sure what it will say. Maybe it'll only say that. I've got some other ideas that I've been throwing out there. So we'll get you some of those as time comes on. But yes, the store is open. JustinBarclay.com/store with introductory prices. They do go up from here, so make sure that you take advantage. Do it today. JustinBarclay.com/store. JustinBarclay.com/store. We appreciate your support. Thank you so much for helping us. Get the word out, not just about all these great things. We got the Alligator Alcatraz shirt. We got the Fool Around and Find Out shirts and mugs and hoodies. Gulf of America. Not far right so far. Justin, Freedom Fam gear, and more. All at JustinBarclay.com/store. Hang out, folks. Here we go. Back on the air. Yes. Coming up. We had a fastest hour radio already flying by. Just really incredible. Today, here's what you have to look forward to. President Trump meeting with Zelensky and European Union leaders at the White House. Big day there. Former Attorney General Bill Barr testifying at House committee behind closed doors. The death of Jeffrey Epstein. And Democrats returning to Texas today. We're going to get to all of that, too, during the after show, the show after the show. So don't go anywhere. Stick with us for the latest as things are just sort of starting to fire up. Look, I know it's back to school. I understand today is the first for a lot of schools headed back even, and then further throughout the week we'll have more start times. So look, if you are done with summer and you're a parent or a grandparent and you're sending those kids back to school, maybe it's time to focus on you finally. You know what that means, right? little time just to do the things that you needed to do all summer, get some errands done, some things that you've been putting off for a while. Maybe it's time to finally step into the Good Feet store. Get rid of that foot pain, the back pain, the leg pain you've been suffering all summer long, and maybe it's prevented you from really living the way you'd like to. Really actually enjoying life with your kids or your grandkids. Going to the beach or taking those walks, whatever it might be. I know, because I used to be there too, but not since I walked into the Good Feet store. I feel more balanced, more stable. My pain is gone once I was fit with their personalized arch support system. You want to check them out today. The couple of locations you can do that. The Good Feet store is on 28th Street, right in front of Costco, or in Portage on Westnedge in front of Kohl's. You can come in and experience the Good Feet feeling for yourself. And, you know, the beautiful thing about it, all the different shoes that you might wear this time of year, even slides and sandals, and, dress shoes. These Good Feet arch supports, they fit inside them all, including your sneakers, too. Find out more today at the Good Feet store and tell them Justin sent you. All right. It is a horrific story. And it is one that is, I think the reason it's so horrific is that it just, on multiple levels, never should have happened. But it's one that is making the rounds, and folks need to know about it. There was a man, an illegal alien, a truck driver, who caused a huge wreck. He's been arrested for vehicular homicide. He will be deported. Florida officials have announced. But the man got his CDL, commercial driver's license, in California. Harjinder Singh got a CDL in the sanctuary state of California, the man killing these individuals, that family in that car. Horrific. Can you imagine driving down the road? What he does is he tries to pull a U-turn. Now, if you haven't seen the video, it's kind of tough to watch, but he's driving. There's no audio, but he takes a U-turn. You can see the truck. He tries to go across different lanes of traffic, and now the trailer itself is stretched across the several lanes of traffic, and oncoming traffic barrels right into it. You can see it through the camera in his dash, a minivan. Oh. It's hard to watch because thinking about my family, driving down the road on the way to church or who knows where, and having to deal with this. This never should have happened. The man should have never been in the country, number one. Number two, these sanctuary states and cities and the Democrats, the folks on the left who tell you that you're so wrong for saying that there ought to be accountability, that you're the one that's evil. They just don't get it. They've got lots of compassion for the criminals, and in this case, none for these victims. Well, we're praying for those folks lost in the family that survives them today. But gruesome Gavin Newsom, as he's ramping up for a run in 2028, this blood is on his hands. We will not forget. We will not let him shake it. All right, folks, the after show and more coming up. We're just barely getting started, scratching the surface. More of the stories maybe you missed throughout the day. We'll put them up in the stack at justinbarclay.com. Back with you tomorrow. The Glenn Beck program's next. Make it a great one. God bless. Yeah, that's an interesting question. What can they do? Is there a lawsuit? And Florida, good question. I would think, I think there may be some action that can be taken there. I don't know if Florida might be able to get involved in that or not with a lawsuit against the state of California. We will keep an eye on it, though, folks. I got to get a couple of buttons clicked here, and we will get on with the after show. Stand by. Okay, here we go.
Get ready to strap in. It's going to be a heck of a ride. It's like drinking from a fire hose. Never a dull moment, but yes, you'll hear the stories you won't hear anywhere else, and we appreciate you being here with us for them today. I'm Justin Barclay.
Welcome in to the after show, the show after the show. Never a dull moment. What a weekend it was. That meeting, Trump and Putin in Alaska on Friday. Actually ends up resulting in the folks from the EU leadership headed to D.C. today at the White House. Zelensky will be there too, and it'll be a big day. Again, what happens? Will we get a deal? That remains to be seen. But Trump has told him one thing for sure: if you want a deal, even above what I told you earlier, sort of the idea of no more NATO, trying to get into NATO, and some of the details about the territories. There's one thing that Trump has said, which I think is hilarious, but also, it's a very good point. It's a very good point. If you want a deal, Trump says, you better show up in a suit. He said, you can't get in unless you show up in a suit. You got to take this seriously. You remember last time he came, he was not in a suit. Trump saying, you want a deal, you better. Zelensky said to show up in suit-style jacket for Oval Office meeting after Trump complained about his attire last time is the headline here on the story, which I think is absolutely hilarious. And he's always running around in his PJs. In his whatever that outfit is. I think he sells it too, which is a whole nother thing. But anyway, we've got that. We're going to get to lots of other great stories. I got videos I got to play for you today, and we welcome you in. Thanks to the folks at MyPillow. MyPillow and mystore.com/Justin. MyPillow.com. mystore.com/Justin. Mike Lindell and the team there helping support this program. Every time you buy something great, you get a fantastic deal. By the way, free shipping on your entire order. Did you see this? Mike announced it like a week or so back. I don't know how long this is going to last. So if you haven't taken advantage, you better do it now, in other words, because I just don't know how long this is. I never expected him to announce that. We had him on the show a couple of weeks back, and he did. He said, yes, I want to do it. He said, you don't even know about this yet. He said, but I'm going to give free shipping. So the promo code is Justin. Free shipping on the entire order. Whether it's the pillows, they've got employee pricing on the MyPillow premium pillows, $19.98 for queen size. Just add $5 for kings. The My Slippers, save over $110, $39.98 for those slippers. They are cozy. They are comfy. I have a pair. Lizzie does too. Classic Collection sell pillows on sale as well for $17.98. The Giza Dream Sheets, which we love. They are a dream. The kitchen towels, the dog beds, MyPillow, My Mattress Topper. You don't have to get a whole mattress, although they have those too. It's Mattress Month, and it's part of our campaign to let you know that they actually have these great things inside there. But the MyPillow Mattress Topper will help you. It'll make you feel like your bed's like a brand new bed for not having to spend as much. Beach towel prices 50% off. Now's probably a good time to stock up on those. The summer sheet sale underway. Rev 7 is the new energy drink, My Coffee, and more when you go to mypillow.com/Justin. Get free shipping Thanks to Mike, you can help support him, help support this program, all at the same time and get great stuff at a great deal. It couldn't be better. All right. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, are Democrats finally going to come back in Texas today? Abbott calling a second special session. We're hearing that Democrats might actually be on their way back. Of course, you know there's some redistricting going on here. Some of the shenanigans Democrats have pulled themselves, they don't like seeing pulled on them. That's essentially where we're at on this. What do I mean? The gerrymandering. We'll see how chopped up and how cut up places like California already are. And by the way, that's what they'd like to do in Texas, is restore some of these issues, in fact, that have been created by some there. It would give Republicans 5 more seats in Congress. Texas Democrats expected to return Austin noon Central today as the House again tries to reach a quorum for Governor Greg Abbott's second special session on redistricting after a 2-week walkout killed the first. If they don't show, Republicans say they'll adjourn and Abbott will immediately call yet another session. All while these folks are hunted down in some ways. The House of Sergeant of Arms has been given the go-ahead to go ahead and arrest these folks. They've been hiding out in places like Illinois and some of the other places that it's wild. Hey, a big shout out to Forrest listener over on X. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate the compliment. We are streaming live all over Facebook, Twitter X, Rumble, Getter Locals, YouTube, brand new, where some folks are finding the chat today. Forrest says, thanks, Justin. It's hard for me to catch your show, but when I do, I always like it. How cool is that? Thank you, man. We appreciate those kind words. Make sure you share today. I forgot to mention it at the top of the show, but if you do, whether you're on Facebook or you're on X or you are on Locals, Rumble, wherever you are, make sure you share. Somebody that does will get something special from our store. I gotta pick something good out. I told you, the store is back open. I should probably let you know, just, hey, there's lots of good stuff in there. Too much to name right now, but I don't think I'll find the most popular tee right now. It might not even be a tee. It might be a hoodie. I don't know. The way the weather's starting to change. It's a little cooler today. JustinBarclay.com/store. Justin Barclay, BARCLAY.com/store. Not far right. Not far right. Right so far. That new T-shirt is out. The Gulf of America tee and hoodies. Alligator Alcatraz. The Fool Around and Find Out stuff is out, as well as the One Nation Under God that we brought back for folks. And the original. I need new conspiracy tees. All of mine have come true. All of that is out there and ready to go. So thanks to the folks that are supporting us. Yes, and you could win something really cool just for sharing today. You help us get the word out. You help us break the algorithm, and that's, in fact, why we need you to help us do that, because the censorship really hasn't stopped. And it's funny is now I'm seeing people on the left start to say that their posts and things are being censored. I thought, I highly doubt that, number one. But number two, welcome to it, folks. I don't want to see it happen to anybody. But just a little taste of what we've had to endure over the last 5 years or so. Welcome to it. I doubt it's happening.
This is from Chicago, and those are Democrats from Texas boarding a plane. Now, I guess we don't know exactly where the plane is headed at this point, but we do know that there are reports that Texas Democrats are planning to return to Texas today, ending their walkout, which are protesting Republican redistricting plans. So Texas Democrats getting on a plane in Chicago. If they go back to Texas, it will likely pave the way for Republicans to pass the new congressional map. Also today in California, Democrats. This is from Chicago.
That's wild. That's wild. CNN with the report. Yeah, they'll be losing their minds over some of this stuff once they actually hear it. They will be losing their ever loving minds. Speaking of which, and this proves it. This to me shows you just how crazy things have gotten. This is something. Okay, this is something that, again, I don't know. I had to make sure I was getting at the right thing here. I don't know what it is, MSD and C13, but maybe it's because they've realized they've gone too far. But Joe Scarborough and the folks on Morning Joe, it's starting to make a little more sense. And in fact, they're actually wrap your head around this, saying things that, gosh, they're not completely detached from reality.
By the way, let's underline two things here. Just again, to set expectations, to be realistic. Even during the Biden administration, every Biden official, including the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, says they're going to have to give a plan. They're not going to like giving a plan, but they're going to have to give a plan, number one. Number two, they're not going to become members of NATO. There may have been people writing articles in the Wall Street Journal or elsewhere saying they have to be members of NATO, but you go around to every European leader, that was never going to happen. But there was an idea of a quasi-NATO type guarantee, and they need that guarantee. And if they get that guarantee, if they have the guarantee that Putin's not going to reload and then come back in, that would be considered, I think, at the end, a win for Ukraine.
What's wild to see is in Morning Joe actually making sense, actually making some sort of statement that appears to be not completely insane and unhinged. What's wild to see is that, but at the same time, just when you thought we had kind of switched over, we crossed back over into the land of truth, logic, and common sense, you get stories like Grand Rapids. In fact, we talked about it on the podcast over the weekend. If you haven't gone back and listened to it, Steve Gorham did a great job breaking this all down and what it's actually going to accomplish versus what it's going to cost you. And that's probably the biggest issue, especially when you're looking at your light bill lately. You're looking at your power bill, your gas. You're looking at the energy. You're starting to stack it. I mean, well, how the heck, by the way, it's only going to continue to go up, and there's a reason for that. On one hand, they've been trying to push all this wind, solar, and unicorn farts, green pipe dream stuff. That's on the one hand. And on the other, they have more and more electric use and power use than ever before. Why? Well, yeah, it's not just the electric cars. More people are plugging in electric cars, but that really hasn't, I think, made a huge, significant push just yet. But what are the data centers and the AI plants that are being put up right now.
How dare you?
Steve made some great points this weekend. Democrats in Grand Rapids are still on this climate just completely debunked, discredited climate change push. And you watch and you see, just when you thought, okay, we got Joe Scarborough making sense, but then we got Democrats in Grand Rapids not really. I thought we were done with this, right? Very similarly, I thought we were done with this. We have the male cheerleaders captured in Minnesota on the Vikings.
Girl, what did that girl just say, girl? Girl, I don't dance, I work. I don't play, I slay. I don't walk, I strut.
Now, what in the world is happening in Minnesota with the male cheerleader on the left? And you have Tim Walz on the right.
Strut, and then sashay. Okay.
But I gotta kill the music. They're probably gonna. They're not gonna like that. They're gonna ding me for it. But now you see there must be something in the water out in Minnesota. Did they have their first game? Is that what happened with the male cheerleaders? There's more than one, too. I didn't realize that. There's actually more than one. Just keep that in mind as you watch all the insanity. Oh, speaking of insanity, D.C., like I told you earlier, is suing the Trump administration, trying to clean up the crime problem in the city. And again, this is just shows you the wild to think, but there are Democrats who are defending crime on this. How do you make that work? How do you make any of that make any sense whatsoever? Move over, rabbits with horns. Here comes the zombie squirrels. Now, that's the headline. Folks, I don't know. This is kind of, to me, it's a little strange. But I have some strange news. It's never stopped us before. Zombie squirrels. We'll tackle that right after this from the latest. You know, look, whether it's a rabbit with horns or a zombie squirrel, you need to be ready. Now, I am being serious. I am being with a little tongue-in-cheek with some of this stuff, but whether it's the zombies, right, man-made, or natural disasters, they're going to come. You know, look, the Bible even talks about you're going to have trials and tribulations of many kinds, right? We know that tough days are ahead in some ways, even when things are going very well, like we see them happening now. But at any moment, we could have an issue, even when they're going through these peace talks right now. There could be issues with the grid going down. We got supply chain issues. You just never know. Or it could just be zombie squirrels. It's true. Look, I know we're kind of tongue-in-cheek talking about it, but what is no laughing matter is that when the grocery shelves go empty, you're out of time. Disasters hit fast, whether there's storms, blackouts. Remember, we had the ice storm up north. Or whether it's tornadoes that are ripping through areas. Blackouts can happen. Supply chain chaos can take place as well. And the first thing to vanish, I mean, it goes fast. Food. That's why Americans are stocking up now with My Patriot Supply and preparewithjustin.com. You can do the same thing. Right now, you can get a 3-month emergency food kit, and they're going to throw in a free 4-week food kit. That's a whole 4 months of meals, ready to eat, no refrigeration needed, all with a 25-year shelf life. And we were talking breakfast, lunch, dinner, over 2,000 calories a day to keep you strong with everything else shuts down. Don't wait until the crisis is here. Order today. It ships fast and discreet when you go to preparewithjustin.com. That's preparewithjustin.com. But do it today, because when the lights go out, the last thing you should be worried about is feeding your family dinner. Zombie squirrels, on the other hand, that's a whole nother issue. I'm not sure exactly how to put this into perspective, but it is nasty, the picture that's showing up on the New York Post right now, this zombie squirrel. Let me see if I can zoom in on him a little bit. What is going on? The headline said, move over rabbits with horns. What about the jackalope? Yeah, that's a guy. I do remember the jackalope. Milky said, remember the jackalope from the AFTV show back in the day? That's right. That's a rabbit with the horns. That's probably what that is. Okay. So what in the world is a zombie squirrel? It's covered in oozing warts. Now, if you're eating breakfast right now, I apologize. A zombie squirrel covered in oozing warts spotted soaking through backyards. Squirrels covered in pus-filled wart-like tumors have been spotted across backyards all throughout the United States, according to a report. The grotesque-looking gray squirrels, photographed in states like Maine, across parts of Canada. I wonder if we have any in Michigan yet. Have appeared in recent months with oozing sores and hairless patches on their heads and limbs. Daily Mail citing a flurry of social media users spotting the critters on Reddit and X.
Photos and reports of afflicted squirrels date back to the mid-2023, but sightings have urged again this summer. Gosh, that is just disgusting. I got to take it off the screen. It's too much. At first, I thought it was eating something from my front beds, but then I realized it was on its face. One Reddit user posted on July 31st after spotting a gray squirrel with a tumor on its mouth. Some have dubbed the critters zombie squirrels, but wildlife experts claim the animals are likely suffering from squirrel fibromatosis, a viral skin disease caused by the Leporia pox virus. Is that like leprosy? Ooh, I don't know, man. This doesn't sound fun at all. It's a genus of virus in the family Poxviridae. Subfamily of squirrels serve as natural hosts. Yeah, this is sick. I don't think it can spread to humans, but man. The virus spreads through direct contact between healthy squirrels and lesions of or saliva of infected squirrels, mimicking herpes transmissions in humans. The virus is often confused with squirrel pox. Oh, no. Don't get me started on this whole squirrel pox. Monkey pox, squirrel pox. You remember donkey pox? I wore the shirt this week, and we had a donkey pox. Maybe I ought to bring that one back. Yeah, maybe we should do some of the historic. The donkey pox. It's a virus killing America. You remember those? Those, one of my favorite shirts. We did that. I don't know, maybe a couple of years back. Squirrel pox. I never heard of this. It's more common in the UK and can be fatal to red squirrels. This Leporia pox virus leads to wart-like tumors that ooze fluid. Oh, that's just great. Skin condition often clears up on its own, but in severe cases, the growth can affect internal organs and lead to death. Despite their scary look, Maine's Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife spokesman told the Bangor Daily News that residents do not need to fear the squirrels. Don't fear the squirrels. And don't feed them either. They pose no threat to humans, pets, or birds. They're going nuts in my backyard, literally over acorns and the like right now. It's wild to watch. They know the turn is coming. And they're already gearing up. It's like when you get a large concentration of people, if someone is sick and it's something that spreads easily, others are going to catch it. This spokesperson said the concentration may be caused by innocent bird feeders. Infected animals can leave saliva or fluid on the uneaten seeds, exposing other squirrels to the virus. So. Or they're releasing animals that have been tested on in labs, Jessica says. All right, there we go again. Now we got it just in time. Oh, boy. I'm not worried about, I'm not gonna sit here and worry about squirrel pox or what do we call it? Zombie squirrels? Is that what they're saying now? Yeah. I'm not gonna sit here and worry about all of that. President Trump on the meeting with Zelensky over the weekend got a few clips. I thought maybe a couple we should at least play as they gear up for their meetings. Well, the meeting was with Putin. He's getting ready to sit down and meet with.
The meeting was a very warm meeting. You know, he's a strong guy. He's tough as hell and all of that. But the meeting was a very warm meeting between two very important countries, and it's very good when they get along. I think we're pretty close to a deal. Now, look, Ukraine has to agree to it. Maybe they'll say no, because Biden handed out money like it was candy, and Europe gave him a lot of money. You know, we gave him $350 billion. Europe gave him much less, but still a lot, $100 billion. The meeting was a very warm meeting.
Incredible, the amount of money that we have spent here. So was there a deal? That's the question. Some of the things that we're hearing, there could be. What does Trump say?
We had a very good meeting today, but we'll see. I mean, it's, you know, you have to get a deal. We agreed on a lot of points. I want to see people stop dying in Ukraine, and that's what's happening. We're losing 5, 6, 7,000.
Isn't it amazing the left hates him for this?
They're Russians, mostly Russians, and they're Ukrainian soldiers. There's some people dying in cities and towns where they're trying to blow up missile manufacturers and other things in some cities. I don't know if you know what's going on there, but there are a lot of people dying.
I hate it. I hate to see it. And I think he does too. It's amazing to watch Democrats.
We were together almost 3 hours, and it was very extensive. And we agreed on a lot of points. I mean, a lot of points we're agreed on. But there's not that much. There's, one or two pretty significant items, but I think they can be reached. Now it's really up to President Zelensky to get it done. And I would also say the European nations, they have to get involved a little bit. But it's up to President Zelensky. I think we are, and if they'd like, I'll be at that next meeting. They're going to set up a meeting now between President Zelensky and President Putin. And myself, I guess, I didn't.
One of the most interesting pieces of this meeting, by the way, I don't know. You're talking about a red carpet and all this other stuff. Mike Rogers, former congressman running for Senate, brought up today. But did you see the flyover?
Critics of President Trump will say the pomp and circumstance, the red carpet, the warm handshake, that President Trump simply lost that Putin gained there just by being on the world stage and walking down a red carpet with the president. Your reaction to that?
Well, I mean, critics of President Trump are always going to find something to criticize. You don't even pay attention to it anymore. But I will tell you this. Putin is already on the world stage. He's already on the world stage. The guy's conducting a full-scale war in Ukraine. He's already on the world stage. He has the world's largest tactical nuclear arsenal in the world and the second largest strategic nuclear arsenal in the world. He's already on the world stage. When I hear people say that, it elevates him. Well, all we do is talk about Putin all the time. All the media's done is talk about Putin all the time for the last 4 or 5 years. That doesn't mean he's right about the war. That doesn't mean he's justified about the war. Put all that aside. It means you're not going to have a peace agreement between Russia and Ukraine. You're not going to end a war between Russia and Ukraine without dealing with Putin. That's just common sense. I shouldn't even have to say it. So people can say whatever they want. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we have to get the Russian side to agree to things that they don't want to agree to if we're going to have peace. If not, there'll just be a war. They'll keep killing each other. And life will...
It's interesting. Watch Marco, by the way, Secretary of State, and J.D. Vance both getting fantastic practice right now on the world stage with all of this. And you're looking at 2028, thinking about who might be up next. A couple of pretty strong folks are emerging right now out of this administration. So they talked about the red carpet, but I haven't seen much about this, which was maybe the ultimate boss move. I don't know if you saw this. Putin walking, and Trump looks great, by the way, but look at him walking down the red carpet. They go up on stage, and they hear something. Putin starts to look off to his right as they're walking past one of the fighter jets. Watch this. Here it comes. Screaming across the sky, folks. A flyby with fighter jets accompanying a B-2 bomber. That was the ultimate fool around and find out. Let me just put it to you that way. Warning. Look at Putin looking up. Holy smokes. Trump just calm, clear, cool as a cucumber. Watch what he says, because you can read the mouth. There's some lip reading. He reaches over to him and he says something. Putin doesn't quite hear, so he leans over to get a little better ear on it. And you could see Trump say stealth a couple of times here. Yeah. That has got to be one of the, by the way, this is peace through strength right here. This is before you sit down with the guy. This is the art of the deal. Before you sit down with a guy, you show him, just like Zelensky, you have no cards. What was the B-2 bomber? What was that message? We just took out the nuclear programs in Iran. We can find you at any moment, and you'll never know we're coming. In essence, it was fool around and find out. That's the best way to put it. By the way, the fool around and find out gear
as I mentioned earlier, in the store right now. Fool around and find out. Maybe grab some. Whether it's a mug, whether we get you the T-shirts, we got hoodies, we got all kinds, and lady sizes too, plus different colors. I like it on the gray. Personally, you can see the Fool Around and Find Out tees and hoodies on display right now. But I like I said, they're different. We got some different colors. I think the green might look good. That pink or peach is kind of strange. I like the military green. That's kind of cool. The safety color is kind of interesting as well. White looks good. Anyway, Fool Around, Find Out over at justinbarkley.com/store. I had to, folks. That is the very definition of fool around and find out. What does Rubio say we should expect from today's meetings there at the White House?
What are you expecting to present to Zelensky tomorrow?
Well, I think tomorrow's conversations, a lot of it will be centered around what are the kinds of security guarantees that Ukraine is looking for. Because what Ukraine is looking for here is the war ends. How do we make sure this doesn't happen again? How do we make sure that in 2 or 3 years, the Russians don't come back at us? So they want guarantees built up so that they can protect themselves or prevent such a war from occurring in the future. So the details of what that would look like is something that hopefully we'll spend a lot of time discussing tomorrow. We had a long conversation about it yesterday with the national security advisors of multiple European countries. Some work has already gone into it, but now we're at a stage where we need to build some details on it, and then ultimately, obviously present that to the Russian side, who and get them to accept it. But first, we have to have our ducks in order.
There he is, Secretary of State Marco Rubio. All right, this is another piece that I just saw. We have to get to this. CNN. Michael Smerconish, the guy's name, going after the media.
I'm hearing all the criticism. Oh, my God, they rolled out a red carpet as if he should have kneed him in the groin.
You lose CNN and MSDNC 13, some of these personalities, these talking heads. It shows you how bad it is. Matter of fact, I don't know who is advising gruesome Gavin Newsom right now, but all this Trump derangement syndrome, like obsession with him right now. The guy came out on all these podcasts trying to act like and appear that he was like centrist. He's down the middle. He's like going to be this common sense sort of guy. And all he's doing is going after Trump right now. I don't know who's writing his tweets. I think it's some sort of intern somewhere. This is the dumbest move I've ever seen, because you're completely kicking out the idea that you're going to be some sort of, common sense sort of guy. You just hate Trump, and you're not doing anything. In fact, if we look at your record, letting your cities and your state burn, giving away driver's license to illegal aliens because you're a sanctuary state and it kills people in Florida. I mean, this is horrific. So, you got problems when these people are even turning against.
I'm hearing all the criticism. Oh, my God, they rolled out a red carpet as if he should have kneed him in the groin the minute that he stepped off the plane. I mean, he's trying to cut a deal. President Trump, is trying to cut a deal. I'm willing to give him credit for that so long as he doesn't sell out Ukraine in the process. And there's no suggestion that he's done so at this stage. I'm hearing all the criticism. I
mean, this is something. By the way, Smerconish went on to say that he thinks they ought to give if Trump can pull this off. Same as Hillary Clinton over the weekend, who said, if Trump can pull it off, give him the Nobel Peace Prize. Isn't that something? All right, you talk about a good, feel-good story, a story that, it's good news. Anyway, that's for sure. But it's like a miracle. Right out of Michigan, in fact, with a Minnesota twist. Here's the latest from CBS Detroit. One man worked for Ford for years, just got his wallet back. Where it was found in the unlikely place and how he got it back is incredible. This is wild.
That he was working on. The man found a wallet that a former Ford employee who assembled cars at a plant here in Michigan lost over a decade ago. Boyd Hubert talked with that mechanic.
So the guy built a car one of the Ford, I think it was an Escape or something like that, built one of these. One day he wore, I think he had sweatpants or something, he had his wallet in his pants in the pocket, and it fell out. He lost it. That wallet fell into, I think, under the hood of this car. Not sure where it exactly landed, but he never found it, didn't know where it went. Somebody working on that car all these years later, over 10 years, over a decade, found the wallet.
As the owner of an auto repair shop,
replacing an HVAC motor,
there can't be much Chad Volk hasn't seen.
You never see everything.
As Chad just learned again.
2015 Ford Edge.
Chad was replacing the cooling fan on this 11-year-old Ford. Pulled out this airbox and learned the Ford hid a secret.
So my guess it was sitting up in here somewhere, just sitting there for the right move. That little hole right here. That's where the wallet was sitting on top of that hole.
A wallet that puzzled the veteran mechanic.
I just sit down and go through this wallet.
Who then pulled from inside the work ID of a Ford Motor Company employee. Chad went on Facebook.
Is this your wallet? First thing I said was, did you find it in a car? He's like, yes, I did.
Richard Guildford built Fords in Michigan.
I never wore sweatpants to work, but I did that day. And I had my wallet in my shirt pocket.
As he leaned over this car 11 years ago, the wallet popped out.
I checked and I'm like, Smitty, I lost my wallet. So we all went out and tried to look. You know, there was 2,000 cars out there and we couldn't find it.
So the wallet traveled in the Edge to a dealership in Arizona, then to Lake Crystal, Minnesota, and 150,000 miles later to the repair shop of an honest mechanic.
That's the way I was raised.
Who walked the wallet 3 doors down to the post office.
There's nothing wrong with the money at all.
Every dollar present.
It's well-traveled currency.
Lottery tickets.
There's all the Cabela's cards.
And the $250.
That's incredible.
In gift cards Richard had planned to use to buy Christmas gifts for his kids.
How's it going, Richard?
How you doing?
Not too bad, and you?
Chad and Richard talking face to face for the first time.
I would have never figured in a million years that it would still be there.
I'm going to start digging through cars more often, I guess, in the engine bay to see if I can find some stuff.
2 car guys, uniquely bonded.
And I really, really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
By a wallet and a story with an edge.
The right guy found it, absolutely.
That is maybe one of the cooler stories you'll see today. Fantastic. What a miracle, huh? After 11 years and over 100,000 miles, the guy got his wallet back. Hey, more good news coming at you. In fact, it's a story that's hot off the presses in Truth Social. President Trump said he's going to lead a movement to get rid of mail-in ballots. We'll hit that hard tomorrow. And while we're at it, highly inaccurate, he says, very expensive and seriously controversial voting machines. Oh, my. This will ruffle some feathers. That's coming at you tomorrow. First, a big congratulations to Lady Vu over on X. Lady Vu sharing, reposting our story today. Lady Vu, send me an email. I got something cool from you from the store. Justin@justinbarclay.com. Send me an email, and I'll let you know what you want. Congratulations. Thanks for sharing today. Appreciate you, folks. Always a pleasure. Make it a great one. God bless.